Before Alice Cooper, before Psychobilly, before horror punk, before even Halloween playlists existed, there were songs, strange songs, dangerous songs, songs about witches. Not an old crone stirring a cauldron, not a Halloween costume, but something darker, something cooler, something rebellious. And this song's name was She's My Witch. On this podcast, we're going to tell that song's story and let you know about, as much as we can. I am Gregory Hallows, and this is Preserve Halloween Podcast. And on this episode, we're going to go back into one of my favorite corners of Halloween history, and that is the music. And it's not because these songs were huge hits. They weren't, not always. Not because they topped the charts, because they usually didn't. Not because, any of those reasons, but mostly because the most important Halloween songs aren't always the famous ones. They're the songs that just feel like Halloween. The songs that sound like a dark highway at midnight. The songs that feel like trouble. And a few songs fit that description better than She's My Witch. And to understand why this song matters, of course, we have to understand the person who created it. And that is a musician named Kip Tyler. Probably way ahead of his time. He was a man who would make music that would eventually become favorite among generations of Halloween lovers, including me and a lot of you guys. So who was Kip Tyler? That's the obvious question. Because unless you're deeply involved with rockabilly or just collecting music or music history in general or, underground rock and roll, you may not even know that name. And that's part of what makes these stories fun and fascinating is, we don't know much about the artists that put this music out. It's just a name, right? And usually it wasn't even their real name. So Kip Tyler was born Elwood Westerton Smith in Chicago in 1929. So right off, he's not even going by his real name, which isn't, uncommon in entertainment. But Elwood Westerton Smith became Kip Tyler at some point, and that's just a cool name. It's like, the good thing about when they make up, pseudonyms, they're usually pretty cool. I mean, not always, but anyway, during high school, he sang with a group called the Sleepwalkers. So right off the bat, that's a cool band name. Sounds like a band that plays at a haunted carnival or, it's already built into Halloween lore. Now, this band would eventually combine with musicians from another high school, and they formed an early version of what would become later Kip Tyler and the Flips. Now, these guys weren't polished musicians. They were just kids playing rock and roll. They wanted to play loud. They wanted to play the music their parents hated, music that their teachers worried about, but music that teenagers absolutely loved. Now, one thing about Kip Tyler is when he performed, he often wore a black leather and sometimes rode to the stage on a motorcycle. Now, this wasn't the 70s. This wasn't glam rock or heavy metal. This was the 50s. And, he was trying to portray an image. He wasn't trying to fit in. He was trying to stand out, basically. And that rebel image is very important when we talk about the song because Kip's path, like a lot of musicians of that time, wasn't straightforward. In fact, he was involved with a project for a movie called Rock Pretty Baby, and he used a different name for that. So another pseudonym, Jimmy Daly. But that music did not become successful. The movie follow-up wasn't successful. And kind of He let that Jimmy Daly persona just disappear. But that might have been one of the best things to ever happen to him, because when he returned to being Kip Tyler, he returned to his strangeness, the dark persona, the unique persona. And ultimately, we're still talking about Kip Tyler, not Jimmy Daly. So why does this song, what makes this song different than a lot of songs, right? I think it's just the way it sounds and what it represents. Most Halloween songs present a witch in a certain way: pointed hats, brooms, cauldrons, black cats, all the stereotypical things about a witch. But the witch in this song is not that. It's more of a symbol. It's a dangerous woman, a mysterious woman, a woman with power. She has completely cast a spell over the narrator. And so not necessarily a witch in the most common term, right? So it's a metaphor. But it's a great song, and you can take it on the surface for what it is, or you can, read into it. But the song itself, it's dark, and it's hypnotic, and it's aggressive. And the thing about Kip Tyler is it seemed ahead of its time, right? It doesn't feel like a song. If you listen to it even now, it could have been made anytime, and it could have been made today, and it's still a great song. Now, and the other thing is, it's kind of the precursor to horror rock. Of course, Kip Tyler influenced the Cramps, who we all know, or maybe you don't, but the Cramps are huge in the horror scene. Their whole persona and all their songs and, everything about them, he influenced that. So that's a pretty big deal. So Jungle Hop is the song the Cramps covered by Kip Tyler. So if you haven't heard that, also check it out. But these weren't what you would consider, just a regular song. They're danger and mystery and, just, again, way ahead of its time, which is cool. We'll be right back after this quick break. I am Gregory Hallows, your voice behind the Preserve Halloween podcast and founder of the Halloween Preservation Society. Halloween is more than a holiday. It's history, folklore, and a tradition worth protecting. If you love the stories, the research, and the deep dives into Halloween I bring you, please consider supporting the Preserve Halloween podcast. Your support can help me with more research opportunities, including travel to locations relevant to Halloween history, and to bring you even more insight into the world's greatest holiday. Every one of your contributions, no matter the amount, helps keep the jack-o'-lantern glowing just a little bit longer. So support the show if you can, help me preserve the past, and keep Halloween history alive for generations to come. Check the links in the show description to find out more. And thank you. And now, back to the podcast. So, the thing about it is, just like a lot of other people that I'm going to be talking about on these Halloween songs podcast, is these artists weren't always appreciated during their time. But Halloween culture is filled with people like that. Artists who don't fit in, creators who are weird or strange, performers who exist outside the mainstream. And that was Kip Tyler. But eventually good things rise to the top. So this music was so good, we'd eventually find it. And that's what happened, people find music that they want to. And the thing about people who love Halloween and a lot of you listening will understand this, is we're always searching. We're searching for forgotten records, lost movies, obscure decorations, strange television specials that we don't think anybody else knows about. I just was shopping at the grocery store the other day, and somebody stopped me that knew me and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this YouTube channel?" And then they told me about a movie that they discovered on it and asked me if I knew about it, because Halloween enthusiasts share their information with other people they trust and that they know that they could talk to about Halloween. And that's exactly what this podcast is me sharing the things that I know with you guys so that you know it. Because the only way this history lives on is by sharing it. And that's, through time, that's how things existed. The only reason we know about a lot of stuff is because it's shared records, shared stories, telling a story around the campfire, telling a story, it's passed on. So, Halloween preservation, which is the reason for all of this for me, is often about rediscovery. She's My Witch may seem like something that everyone knows about, but there's people that still have never heard the song. But if you're someone who's never heard it before, the moment you hear this song, you're going to say, how do I not know what this song is? How have I never heard this song? And that's why it lives on, is because it feels like Halloween. When you listen to it, it feels like you should be listening to it on October 31st and all of October, right? And it never mentions Halloween specifically. There's no references to trick-or-treating, or it doesn't even sound like a novelty song like Monster Mash, right? Which I don't even know if that's a novelty song, but it's become one because we associate it, like that's the song everyone knows when you think of Halloween. But it captures the mood of Halloween, and that's a huge deal. So, the things that I read constantly referred to Kip as a cult figure and never a mainstream guy, and that's fine, because Halloween is a cult favorite for us, and some of the most beloved traditions of Halloween started as, niche things that weren't really mainstream, and that's fine, and that's okay, right? But over the years, collectors found this song. Find it on a 45 is very rare. It's a very sought after 45 on vinyl. Rockabilly fans love it. Halloween fans love it. It became one of those songs that just started getting added to playlists, and it's because, the title mentions witch, and a lot of playlists that get put out during Halloween I can't really get on board with, because they pick songs that just titles sound like they should be Halloween songs, but they're not. And that's a pet peeve I'll talk about much later when I start to go over my Halloween playlist, because I'll share that in probably late September, early October, just to see if there's anything new on it. But I kind of think there won't be a lot of new things, but we'll see. But anyway, people who put up decorations early, people who hunt for vintage records, people listening to this podcast, those are the people that this song is for. And why does it still matter? Well, it matters because we're still talking about it. It represents something greater than all of us. It's a good representation of a mood and of a specific period of time. And it represents the idea that Halloween music doesn't begin and end with obvious songs. There's a history there, and I'm trying to discover it, and I'm trying to share it with you guys. It's strange, and it's rich, and it will last forever. I will never, I talk about this all the time, I will never listen to every music that I want to in my lifetime. There's too much music. So I want to share what I know while I can. So a lot of people would consider maybe Halloween, Monster Mash, maybe, quote unquote Halloween fun. Well, if that's the case, She's My Witch is Halloween cool. It's a song that you would hear playing in the background of a vintage Halloween party, blasting out of a hot rod, headed towards a drive-in, midnight showings. It's a song that makes you want to put on a leather jacket and embrace that spooky side of rock and roll that has been carried on, like I said, by the Cramps and Misfits and all those great bands that, aren't necessarily Halloween bands, but the songs they sing fit perfectly on a Halloween playlist. Kip never became a household name. He never achieved even the success that many of his bandmates would find. A lot of the people in his band, the Flips, and people he worked with, went on to big success. I'll mention some of those names in the liner or in the notes. You guys look them up because I want to focus on Kip himself. But we're still talking about his song. People are still playing it. People still discover it every Halloween season. And that's a wonderful legacy to have. And for those of us who love Halloween music, that's enough, right? It's cool that this song still exists. And the way you got to look at it is this. Some songs become hits. Some songs become classics. And some songs just become legendary among certain collectors and Halloween fans and lovers of strange music. And if that's all She's My Witch is for a lot of people, that's enough. It's a song that maybe was too weird or too dark or too cool when it came out, but it'll never disappear for those same reasons. So, until next time, stay strange, stay curious, stay spooky, and always preserve Halloween.